Hey guys, tonight we're diving into one of those stories that sounds like a desert hallucination, except it actually happened. This is the tale of a man who walked across the Sahara Desert to deliver a letter, not a bag of mail, not a military message, just one single paper envelope, and tonight, you are that mailman. Now, let's be honest, you probably won't survive day one. Your shoes are already too tight, the sand is everywhere, yes, everywhere. And no one told you that mirages aren't just a metaphor. Still, somehow, you agreed to this, a delivery mission across 2,500 kilometers of sun-scorched, camel-infested wilderness, all for the sake of one letter. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me in the comments what city are you tuning in from, and what time is it there right now. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. It's just before dawn. The desert hasn't woken up yet, but the air already feels like someone turned on a giant hairdryer just for you. You step out of a dusty little Moroccan border town with a stitched leather satchel over your shoulder. Inside, one letter, number, glitter, no wax seal, no secrets from the king, just a regular, personal letter. The kind most people wouldn't walk 2 blocks to deliver. But here you are, planning to walk across a continent for it. Your destination, a village somewhere in Mali. You squint at your map. It's barely more than a suggestion, half of it's handwritten. The rest seems to have been chewed by a goat. No roads, no GPS, just a dotted line across a tan wasteland and a scribbled near what might be a river. You check your supplies. 1 pair of shoes, probably the wrong kind. A water flask that already feels too small. Dried dates, because apparently people still eat those. The letter, always the letter. No guide, no camel, just you and the whisper of a promise. Some say you're inspired by the legendary African couriersmen who used to cross the desert alone, delivering messages for days or even weeks at a time. Others say you read too many adventure novels as a kid. You're not really sure which version you believe anymore. As the sun peaks over the horizon, the sand turns gold and orange, stretching out like an endless sea. The first few steps feel oddly romantic. Your boots crunch softly, your shadow is long, and the wind is just cool enough to pretend this isn't a terrible idea. But about 30 minutes in, you get your first lesson. Sand is alive. It moves, it shifts, it eats your ankles, it crawls into your socks, your mouth, your lunch. You drink water and instantly regret it because every drop counts. And you haven't even left sight of the town yet. You pass a kid herding goats. He looks at you, puzzled, then offers you a piece of cactus fruit. You walking where? He asks. When you tell him, he laughs so hard he drops his fruit. You eat it anyway. Still, you walk because deep down, there's something ancient about this act, something oddly sacred. Crossing a desert on foot feels like plugging into an old world one that moved slower, breathed deeper, and had fewer distractions than your phone buzzing every 10 seconds. Later, a French historian would write about this journey, saying, "We don't fully understand what drove him, but we suspect it was something between madness and poetry." Even now, scholars argue over the details. Was the journey part performance, part pilgrimage? Was it about the path? But, for now, you're just walking, alone, toward the horizon, carrying a letter that may or may not even matter, and the sand, it's just getting started. The sun is no longer your friend, it's not even neutral. It's aggressive, now high above you, shouting down heat like some furious god with a grudge against postal workers. You've been walking for hours, and you've barely made a dent on the map. In fact, you've started to suspect that the map isn't actually a map, it's more of a polite suggestion. That little bend in the line that looked like a shortcut, it led you straight into a patch of sand that swallows your legs, up to the shin. You spend 20 minutes digging yourself out, and another 10 just sitting there, sand coating your tongue, your teeth, your soul. By noon, you've discovered a simple truth. Sand gets in your lunch. It doesn't matter how well you wrapped it, doesn't matter how tight the container. The Sahara is like that one annoying friend who always shows up uninvited and gets crumbs all over your couch. Your dried dates now taste like gritty sadness. Your water is warm, and you swear it smells faintly of camel. You drink it anyway. Speaking of camels, you haven't seen a single one. You kind of expected this part of the world to be crawling with caravans, like in the movies. You imagined waving to bearded traders with glittering robes and piles of spices. Instead, you're alone. Just you, the wind, and the occasional lizard who looks at you like, dude, why? By the way, your feet are revolting. They've gone from mild discomfort to full-on mutiny. You can already feel the blisters forming, big, dramatic, ones with personalities. You name one of them Pierre. He lives on your left heel and screams every time you step. Pierre is not a team player. You stop under the thin shade of a boulder. It's not much, but it's better than nothing. You sit, remove your boots, and dump out what feels like half the Sahara. Then, because you have nothing better to do, you read the letter. Yes, you peek. Just a little dot. It's handwritten. 2 pages, neatly folded. You don't read it all. Just the first line. To my dearest brother, I hope this finds you. Fold it back up. Suddenly this whole mission feels heavier than your pack. Why didn't they just hire a plane, or a truck? Or crazy idea, use a phone? Well, here's a fun fact. Parts of the Sahara, even today, are so remote they may as well be on Mars. In the 1980s, the postal system in this region was, let's say, unreliable. There were stories of letters arriving 3 years late, not at all. So some folks took matters into their own hands, walking the miles themselves or hiring people crazy enough to do it for them. Guess which kind of person you are. You doze off for a bit, head resting on your backpack. When you wake, there's a line of ants marching toward your bread like it's a 5-star buffet. You sigh and let them have it. You weren't that hungry anyway. Your stomach, however, disagrees. Loudly you get up, stretch, and keep walking. The sun has started to lower, casting long shadows over the dunes. The sand looks gentler now, less like an enemy, more like an indifferent roommate. Still, your legs are shaking. Your shoulders ache, your lips are cracked, and the wind has begun whispering nonsense in your ear. But how you're still walking, and honestly, that might be the most heroic thing anyone's done all day. There's a village on the horizon, or at least, you think it's a village. It could also be a rock formation, or a mirage, or a particularly optimistic hallucination shaped like a house. You blink. Nope, still there. After hours of sand, sky, and exactly one passing beetle who didn't even say hello. The sight of rooftops, real or imagined, sends a jolt of energy through your legs. You pick up the pace, ignoring Pierre the blister and his protests. Your shirt is stuck to your back, your water's nearly out, and the sun is still watching like a disappointed gym coach. But you're moving toward people, toward shade. Maybe even a meal that hasn't been pre-seasoned with sand. As you get closer, the buildings come into focus. Mud brick walls, flat roofs, goats perched in improbable places. This is a real village. Population, unclear. Hospitality, to be determined. Group of kids spot you first. One of them points and yells something. Within seconds you're surrounded. They're not threatening, just extremely curious. One pokes your water flask, another tries to peek into your bag. A third just stares at your face like it's a new species of cactus. You smile, wave, say hello in broken French, a few words of Arabic, some hand gestures. It's enough. Then someone asks you a question. You don't catch it the first time, so they repeat, louder, and with increasing amusement. You're walking where? When you answer Mali, the reaction is universal. Disbelief, laughter. One woman claps her hands and says something that makes everyone double over. You don't speak the language, but you're fairly sure it translates to, he's already sunburnt and he thinks he's going to survive 1,000 more kilometers. They invite you to sit in the shade of a low tree. Someone brings water. It's warm and tastes like minerals, but it's the best thing you've ever had. Someone else gives you a bowl of couscous with dried vegetables, and you nearly weep into it. You try to eat slowly, you fail. Sand or not, it's real food. You spend the night there, curled up on a mat near one of the homes. The air is cooler now, and you finally feel your muscles begin to unclench. You hear voices, laughter, the bleating of goats. Somewhere off to the side, a radio plays a scratchy love song in a language you don't understand. It's oddly comforting. Night, you dream of traffic lights, of cold drinks, of delivery trucks. In your dream, someone tries to hand you a bicycle, but it turns into a lizard and runs away. Probably symbolic. In the morning, before sunrise, you prepare to leave. A small crowd gathers again. One man, older, weathered like the desert itself, walks up to you and places something in your hand, a small charm carved from wood. Protection, he says in halting French. For long roads, you don't know whether it's meant to ward off scorpions, thirst, or your own dumb decisions, but you tie it to your pack anyway. Just before you leave, someone asks to see the letter. You show it, unopened. They nod solemnly, delivering a message. It seems still means something. Here, even if it takes you across a continent. As you walk away, the village disappears behind a dune. Just like that, it's gonna like it never existed. History books rarely mention these villages. They're too small, too ordinary, but that The reason people like you survive out here. There's no GPS signal, no marked trails, only stories passed from mouth to mouth, only people pointing, saying, go that way, follow the rocks, 3 days that direction. Even now, scholars debate how ancient travelers navigated the Sahara. Some say they followed stars, others say they read the dunes like books. One theory even suggests they followed the migration patterns of certain birds. The truth, probably a bit of everything and a whole lot of luck. You don't have a compass, you have a memory, a direction, a letter, and now, a charm tied to your pack. It's not much, but it's enough to take the next step. You're starting to realize something. Water is not just important out here, it's the only thing that matters. Your shoes could fall apart, your map could blow away, you could forget your own name. But as long as you have water, you have a fighting chance. And right now, you have about half a flask, which you are nursing like it's the last glass of juice on earth. The Sahara does this thing. It pretends to be empty, but it's not. It's just really good at hiding things. Sometimes you see a ripple in the sand that looks like a path. Sometimes you spot what you think is a tree, and when you get close, it's a pile of dry bones wearing a few tufts of grass like a bad wig. You look up at the sun, and it just stares back like, don't ask me, man, I just work here. Around midday, your mouth feels like a cotton warehouse during a drought. Every sip of water makes you wince with guilt. But you know the next village is still 2, maybe 3 days away. That's when you remember what someone once told you. Out here, water is currency, and you're poor. So you do what travelers have done for centuries. You scan the horizon not for people, but for signs of people, birds, smoke, palm trees, even certain types of insects. In the Sahara, a single green leaf could mean there's a hidden well nearby, or not. Sometimes the desert just likes to mess with you. You think you see something, a shimmer, a low clump of trees that doesn't belong. You change direction and head for it, try not to hope too hard. After all, the last tree turned out to be your own dirty shirt, flapping on your pack. This time the jackpot. It's not much, just a trickle of water collecting in a stone basin beneath a cracked rock, but it's real. The pool is the size of a salad bowl, and the water is guarded by 3 bees and a smug-looking frog. You sit, wait, let the water refill, then you drink, cupping it in your hands. Slowly, you also whisper thank you to the frog. You're not proud of that, but hey, he was here first. This kind of tiny oasis has a name, gelters there. The lifelines of the desert, small stubborn pockets of water where life clings like a burr to your sock. Anthropologists believe nomads mapped these gelters with a kind of instinct passed down over generations. To outsiders, they're nearly invisible. To desert people, they're as obvious as a billboard. You refill your flask, wash your face, let your shoulders sag for the first time today, and just as you're about to leave, you find something half buried. In the sand nearby, a rusty tin can, not recent, not new, but unmistakably human, proof that someone else once sat here, just like you, thirsty and tired and a little sunburnt around the ears. Maybe another letter carrier, maybe a trader, maybe someone who just got lost and whispered, please let there be water, until they found it. You think of all the water bottles people throw away in cities, half full. You think of every ignored stay hydrated reminder online, and you think no, you feel the ancient weight of what this small drink actually means. Later, you'll write about this moment in your journal. Today I drank with a frog and lived like a king. And even later, much later, when you're telling this story to wide-eyed kids or bemused strangers, you'll leave out most of the sweat and all the blisters, but you'll talk about this gelter and how it reminded you that in the desert, survival isn't about strength, it's about knowing when to stop and learning how to see what wants to stay hidden. Your map tells you there's a path ahead, which is adorable really, because you've been following this so-called path for the last 2 days, and it has led you nowhere. No villages, no wells, just dunes. So many dunes. You've started giving them nicknames just to stay sane. That one over there is Trevor, the lazy one you keep having to climb over. That steep one on your left is Judith. She's dramatic and unnecessarily tall. Every time you crest a dune, you hope please let there be something on the other side. And every time, sand. Miles of it. You're not even disappointed anymore. You're just tired of pretending to be surprised. Still, you press forward, because this is what desert travelers do. They keep going even when the map lies. Maps of the Sahara have always been ... creative. For centuries, European cartographers filled blank spaces with dragons, guesses, or weird Latin. Warnings like here be heatstroke for actual people who lived here. They had a better system. Memory, stories, directions passed from mouth to mouth like ancient GPS. No turn-by-turn directions, just phrases like, follow the wind until the stars shift, then look for the black rock shaped like a sleeping dog. That rock is real, by the way. You saw it this morning. It does look like a sleeping dog. It also smells suspiciously like goat pee. By now, your boots are breaking in the worst way, soles peeling like banana skins, laces fraying. Pierre the Blister has expanded his operations and now has a sibling named Claude living on your right big toe. You consider holding a little family reunion, but you don't have the energy for sarcasm right now. You try walking barefoot for an hour. It lasts 6 minutes. Hot sand is not sand, it is revenge. Your toes scream. You scream. A lizard nearby pauses and nods in sympathy. You try to reorient yourself using landmarks, but out here, landmarks move, dunes shift, rocks disappear, even the light changes the landscape hour by hour. You start to get the unsettling feeling that you're walking in circles. And then you spot something. Not a tree, not a village. A stone marker that's small, half buried, but it has carvings, old ones, like someone took time to scratch messages into it with a knife or a bone. You brush the sand away. There's a faded symbol, maybe Tufina script, maybe something even older. You can't read it, but you recognize the effort. Someone left it here for a reason. There are theories still debated in academic circles about these desert markers. Some say they're part of a pre-Islamic communication system used by Berber tribes. Others believe they were spiritual signposts, messages for the next traveler. Whatever the truth, no one really knows. That's the beauty of the Sahara. It keeps its secrets. You take a photo with your old disposable camera, click one shot. You'll probably forget where you put the photo later, but you'll remember the moment. You keep walking, and eventually, miraculously, you see footprints, human ones, not yours. Fresh, heading in the same direction, and suddenly the map doesn't matter. You follow the print, because here in the desert, sometimes a single footprint is more trustworthy than 1,000 lines on a map. As the sky turns orange and gold, you think, maybe the map didn't lie. Maybe it just wanted you to earn the right to read it. Night in the Sahara is not what you expect. You'd think it would be spooky, vast emptiness, strange sounds, maybe the ghost of a camel or two, but it's not like that. Not at all. In fact, it's kind of perfect. The wind finally stops screaming. The sand cools beneath you like tile under bare feet. And above, a sky so full of stars it looks fake, like someone overdid the special effects. You lie on your back staring up at the universe, and for a moment you forget about the blisters, the sunburn, and that one beetle that tried to crawl into your ear this morning. You're not alone tonight. You've reached a small outpost, 3 mud huts, a well, and a man named Idris who offers you tea before you even say hello. He doesn't ask questions, just gestures for you to sit on a mat, pours you a cup of something hot and sugary, and waits. You're learning something about desert hospitality. Out here, the rules are old, older than borders. If someone shows up from the dunes, you give them water. You offer tea. You don't ask why they're here, because, in the desert, why is a luxury. Alive is enough. You sip the tea and try not to flinch at how sweet it is. Your taste buds, long starved, light up like a solar flare. You're almost sure there's a spoon standing straight up in the cup from the sheer density of sugar. Idris sees your expression and smiles, proud. Around the fire that night, someone turns on a battery-powered radio. The static is louder than the music, but it doesn't matter. The tune is familiar, maybe Arabic pop, maybe Tuareg blues, you don't know. You just know that the rhythm matches the crackling of the flames. And your heartbeat, and the quiet hum of peace you didn't realize you were missing. You eat couscous again, this time with lentils and dried apricots. It tastes like a feast. Someone hands you a scarf soaked in water to wrap around your neck. It's heaven. Then Idris brings out an old metal box. Inside are letters. Dozens of them. Some opened, some not. Some yellowed with age, others folded carefully. He explains slowly, using a mix of French and wide hand gestures, that this place is something like a desert post station. Travelers leave messages here. Sometimes they're picked up, sometimes not. You ask if you can leave one. He nods. You pull a scrap of paper from your pack and write, "If you find this, keep walking. It's worth it." You tuck it into the box and smile. It's not Shakespeare, but it feels right. Later, you sit outside, wrapped in a blanket, watching the stars creep across the sky. The Milky Way stretches above you like a river made of ancient light. You try to imagine what this same sky looked like 1,000 years ago. Exactly the same, probably. That's the wild thing, the sky doesn't care if you're modern, medieval, or just very lost. Historians still debate how ancient Saharan travelers navigated at night. Some say they followed the Southern Cross. others point to Venus or Jupiter, or the alignment of known stars. Some claim there was no science to it at all, just generations of oral knowledge. Stories told around fires like this one, passed from one footsore courier to the next. You breathe in the cool air, listen to the hiss of the fire, and realize you're not racing time anymore. Out here, night isn't a pause, it's part of the path. You close your eyes, just for a second. When you wake, the sky is lighter. Idris is already up, tying down bundles to a donkey cart. He hands you and points east. Your body protests, but your legs move anyway. The journey continues. At some point, you realize you've stopped thinking about the letter. It's still in your pack, folded carefully, slightly sweat-stained at the corners. But you haven't checked on it in days. Not because you don't care, but because this trip has become something else entirely. The sand has changed you, not in a dramatic, inspirational poster kind of way. More like a slow rewrite of your inner software. Your thoughts are quieter now, your footsteps more patient. You don't panic when the wind picks up. You just lower your head, adjust your scarf, and keep moving. But then, one afternoon, as you sit under the crooked shade of a solitary acacia tree, something strange happens. You remember why you're here. You reach into your pack. There it is, the letter still sealed, still marked, with the name of a man you've never met. His brother wrote it, or his cousin, or someone who loves him enough to send a message through you. A total stranger who clearly had nothing better to do than walk across a continent. You hold the letter in your hands and, just for a moment, you wonder, what if it's not important? What if it's just a note, or a joke, or a grocery list? But deep down, you know that's not the point. It never was. You start walking again, and the thought lingers. You're not just carrying paper, you're carrying intention. People have always done this. Long before email or iPhones or postal codes, they sent messages through other people, on foot, on horseback, through forests, mountains, wars, oceans, because words simple, human words were worth delivering. In the 19th century, desert couriers, like the Maharists, carried messages on camelback through impossible distances. Some were hired messengers, others were volunteers. A few were even holy men who believed every step was a prayer. History doesn't remember most of their names, but their paths shaped borders, built alliances, changed lives. Modern historians still argue about the reliability of oral and foot-based messaging systems in the Sahara. Some believe they were wildly inefficient, others argue they were more resilient than any structured bureaucracy. After all, you can't hijack a letter that's carried in someone's sock. You pass an old ruin that might have once been a checkpoint or shrine. There are no signs, no plaques, just the whisper of something ancient in the wind. You place a hand on one of the stones, warm from the sun, and you swear for a second you feel the pulse of footsteps that came long before yours. Later that evening, while setting up camp, you meet a traveler coming the other way. He's Tuareg, dressed in layers of blue, with eyes that squint kindly over his scarf. You greet him the way you've learned, hand to chest, slight bow, no rush. He nods, and you both sit, no questions asked, no explanations demanded, just two wanderers trading stories by way of silence. He pulls a tin from his pack. Inside it, the soft kind, the good kind. You trade him some of your remaining nuts. Then, almost shyly, he pulls out a folded piece of paper and asks if you can deliver it. You stare, blink. He doesn't know your name. He doesn't know where you're going, but he sees the way you walk, and somehow, that's enough. You accept the letter. You didn't think losing a shoe could feel like losing a part of yourself, but here you are. One morning, waking up to discover your left sandal has vanished. Poof, gone, like a magician's trick, except you're not amused. How did it happen? Well, you don't have all the answers. Maybe a fox decided your sandal made a better nest than that dusty rock behind your camp. Or maybe you left it behind while chasing a particularly stubborn goat. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but the desert isn't big on explanations. Now you're walking lopsided, your left foot bare and already starting to blister, your right foot encased in the sad remains of a sandal that's seen better decades. Pierre and Claude, your blister duo, are throwing a tantrum. You swear Pierre is singing "I Will Survive." You think about turning back, but then you remember the letters, to now, and the promise you made to deliver them no matter what. So, you tie a strip of cloth around your foot, fashioning a makeshift sandal. It's ugly, it's uncomfortable, but it's something. You hobble forward, trying to ignore the sharp, burning sting with every step. As you limp along, you notice something strange. The desert seems less harsh today, maybe because you're moving slower. Or maybe because you're finally seeing details you missed when sprinting ahead, tiny flowers growing between rocks, a bright blue beetle racing across the sand, a cloud drifting lazily in the sky like it has all the time in the world. It's a small reminder that even in a place that seems empty, life finds a way to sneak in. Later, you meet a group of nomads camped near a palm grove. They smile at your bandaged foot, offer you a fresh sandal made of woven palm fibers. You accept, gratefully. It's rough, but sturdy. It smells like earth and smoke and kindness. You trade stories over tea. They laugh when you explain the missing shoe. One man jokes that the desert only takes what it needs in today. It needed your shoe more than you did. You think about that for a moment. The desert's demands are strange and often unfair, but it's also full of unexpected generosity. Historians argue about the roles of nomadic tribes in supporting desert travelers. Some say their aid was purely transactional. Others see it as a form of community, a lifeline woven through centuries of shared hardship. What's clear is that without their knowledge and kindness, many crossings would have ended before they began. You step into your new sandal, feeling the rough weave against your skin. It's not perfect, but it's enough to keep walking, and sometimes, enough is exactly what you need. One evening, when your legs feel like they might turn to jelly, you stumble upon something unexpected, a secret resting place, not marked on any map, not spoken of by any guide, just a cluster of palm trees surrounding a shallow pool of water, and a tiny fire pit still smoldering. It feels like the desert itself has been waiting for you to find this spot, a kind of invisible oasis, hidden like a whispered secret. You sink down beneath the palms, relieved to feel shade cool against your skin. As you drink from the pool, you realize something. This isn't just a rest stop. It's a sanctuary for those who understand the Sahara's language. A place where wanderers leave behind what they no longer need, and gather strength for what lies ahead. That's when a shadow appears. An old man, wrapped in blue robes and a turban wound tight. His eyes are sharp and kind, like the desert's own compass. He introduces himself as Hassan. Without many words, he gestures for you to share the fire. Together, you exchange stories, though his tales are filled with riddles and ancient wisdom that you only half understand. He tells you about the invisible paths, routes carved not by maps or footprints, but by trust and memory. The paths that guide those who listen closely to the wind, the stars, the shifting sands. Hassan hints that many travelers never find this resting place. It's a secret known only to those who respect the desert's silence. Scholars debate whether such places truly exist, or if they're a part of Saharan folklore, a metaphor for the inner journey of survival and resilience. As night deepens, Hassan shares a simple truth. The desert doesn't just test your body, it tests your patience, your spirit, your will to keep moving even when the world feels endless and empty. You feel the weight of his words settle in. It's not just about crossing the Sahara, it's about becoming part of it. You rest by the fire, your body relaxing for the first time in days. The stars wheel overhead, a silent audience to your quiet reflection. Tomorrow, you'll leave this secret haven behind. But for now, you breathe in the desert's stillness, and for the first time, feel truly at peace. The desert morning greets you with a cool breeze, almost a tease after the relentless heat of the past days. You pull your scarf tighter as you stand up, feeling surprisingly refreshed. It's amazing what a night's rest and a little shade can do, even when you're dragging to blisters and a questionable sandal. You check your supplies. Water's getting dangerously low again, but that's nothing new. The letter's still safely tucked in your pack, folded just so, as if to remind you why you're here. You start walking, and soon the landscape changes subtly. The dunes give way to rocky outcrops, and here and there, you spot the bleached bones of creatures long gone, not gruesome, just honest reminders that life and death live side by side in the Sahara. As you navigate the stony ground, you notice tiny handprints pressed into the soft earth near a cluster of stones. You kneel and brush them off gently. Children, travelers, no one knows, but it's a quiet connection to the people who came before. You take a breath and remember something odd you read once. Some desert nomads believe the earth remembers every footprint ever made, so if you walk carefully, you're never truly alone. Suddenly you hear a faint sound, the jingle of bells, a rhythmic tapping, and the soft grunt of animals. You look up and see a caravan approaching, dromedaries laden with goods, their riders wrapped in colorful cloth, faces mostly covered against the dust. You step aside, watching them pass with a mixture of relief and envy. Camels, after all, are the kings of the desert. They can travel for days without water, carry heavy loads, and seem to mock your puny two legs with every step. The caravan leader nods at you an unspoken greeting, and you nod back. No words are needed. Out here, respect is earned in silence. Think about those ancient routes, the trans-Saharan trade paths that once connected sub-Saharan Africa with the Mediterranean world. Gold, salt, spices, and stories traveled these roads for centuries. You're a tiny part of that long chain, carrying not gold or salt, but a letter humble yet powerful. Later, you set up camp near an ancient ruin, the remains of what might have been a caravanserai roadside inn for desert travelers. It's just a pile of stones now, but your imagination fills in the gaps. Merchants sharing tea, camels resting, stories traded like precious cargo. You sit on a stone, letter in hand, feeling the weight of history settle around you. Historians still debate how these trade routes operated. Were they controlled tightly by kingdoms, or more loosely managed by tribal networks? Some say the Sahara was a barrier, others say it was a bridge. Either way, it shaped cultures, economies, and the lives of countless travelers like you. As the sun dips low, you realize you're closer than ever to your destination. The end of this journey is near, but the desert isn't done teaching yet. The air grows cooler, but your body feels the weight of the miles. Your steps are slower now, and your thoughts wander as you trudge over the sandy terrain. Somewhere deep inside, a little voice wonders if you'll make it, but you push it aside. There's a stubbornness in you, a quiet promise to that folded letter in your bag. The sun dips behind distant dunes, casting long shadows that seem to stretch forever. You pause and look back the way you came. The endless desert feels like a living memory, etched into your skin with every blister and bead of sweat. At dusk, you reach a small oasis village. Its humble palm trees, mud brick houses, a well-worn market square where children play and elders watch silently. You feel the eyes of the locals on you. The stranger who has walked so far with so little. A woman offers you a bowl of dates and a smile. You accept gratefully, savoring the sweetness. The simple act feels like a balm to your tired spirit. You notice faded symbols etched into a nearby wall, ancient markings left by travelers before you. Some say they're blessings, others warnings. Scholars argue to this day about their exact meaning. Whatever they are, they remind you that this path you're on has been traveled for centuries. Later, as you prepare to rest, a local elder approaches. He speaks slowly, telling you stories of the desert, the legends of lost caravans, the spirits that guard the sands, the songs that guide travelers at night. You listen, mesmerized by his words, feeling the weight of history and culture settling softly around you. That night, under a blanket of stars, you write a note in your journal. The desert is more than sand, its memory, mystery, and the heartbeat of those who came before. You close your eyes, ready to dream, but also ready to walk again come dawn. The morning brings a breeze that carries the scent of earth and distant rain, a rare promise in this arid expanse. You pack up slowly, savoring the last moments of shade and cool air before stepping back into the desert's relentless embrace. Your feet feel heavier today, blisters and all, but with every step you remind yourself, the letter is not just paper, it is connection. A fragile thread weaving lives together across miles of empty sand. You come across a curious sight, a carved rock, half buried in the dunes, etched with symbols you don't understand. Nearby, tiny footprints encircle it, like a ritual circle, made by children or travelers paying homage. Some historians think these carvings mark ancient water sources, others say they're waypoints or even spiritual signs. The truth remains elusive, but you feel their significance nonetheless. Echoes of countless footsteps and stories layered beneath the desert sun. As the day wears on, you begin to notice small surprises. A patch of wildflowers pushing through the sand, a sudden gust that cools your skin, the distant call of a bird soaring high above. The desert, it seems, is full of hidden life and quiet resilience. Just like you, by late afternoon, you reach a ridge overlooking a valley. The view takes your breath away, sweeping dunes rolling like waves, a riverbed dry but etched with history. You pause, catching your breath and letting the silence wrap around you like a soft blanket. Here, in the vastness, you feel a profound connection to those who have crossed before, merchants, nomads, messengers, all carried forward by the same sun, wind, and stars. Your journey is far from over, but at this moment, standing at the edge of the world, you realize something deeper. Sometimes, the path itself is the destination. As the sun sinks lower, the desert begins to transform once again. Shadows stretch longer, colors deepen, and the sand cools beneath your tired feet. You follow a faint trail, barely visible, marked only by the occasional tuft of hardy grass. or a scattering of stones. You're not alone. Somewhere in the distance you hear the faint sound of drums, not the kind you'd expect, but soft and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of the Sahara itself. You close your eyes for a moment and try to imagine the stories behind that music. You think about the Tuareg people, nomads of the desert known as the Blue Men for their indigo robes. They've roamed these lands for centuries, their lives intertwined with the rhythms of the sand and sky. Some historians argue the Tuareg have kept ancient traditions alive that date back thousands of years, while others believe their culture has evolved much more recently, adapting to the harsh realities of the desert. You follow the sound, curious, and eventually come upon a small encampment. A group of musicians play traditional instruments, drums, stringed lutes, and a wooden flute that sings like the wind. They invite you to sit, share their tea, and join the circle. You learn that music here isn't just entertainment, it's a language of survival, a way to pass down history and heal the soul. The rhythms tell stories of journeys, love, loss, and resilience, all the things you've come to know intimately over these past days. One elder, with eyes like the desert sky, tells you a story about a messenger who once crossed the Sahara, on foot, carrying a letter that changed the fate of a kingdom. Whether it's fact or legend, no one knows. But the tale lingers in the air, a reminder that every step taken in this vast wilderness carries meaning. You join in the song, your voice shaky but sincere. For a moment, you're not a weary traveler but part of a timeless tradition, connected by rhythm and story to the land and its people. When the music fades and the stars shine brighter than ever, you lie back on the sand, feeling the desert's pulse sync with your own. Your legs ache, but you keep moving forward. Somewhere ahead, the promise of your destination hangs like a mirage, distant yet real enough to chase. The sun climbs higher, and the heat presses down like a weight. Sweat drips from your brow, mixing with the grit on your skin. You pause to rest under a solitary tree, a rare gift in this ocean of sand. As you sit, you pull out the letters. To now, you imagine the faces waiting to receive them, families, friends, maybe strangers who will find hope in those simple words carried by your feet. You think about the history of communication in husky lands, how messages traveled by foot, by camel, by carrier pigeons, across deserts, mountains, and seas. There's an unspoken bravery in those messengers, a commitment that transcends distance and danger. You tuck the letters away and rise, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Every step forward is a testament to endurance, to connection, to the human spirit's refusal to give up. Around you, the desert shimmers with heat, the horizon blurring like a painting left out in the rain. You keep walking, the end is near. The final stretch is both a relief and a challenge. Your body aches in places you didn't know could hurt. Your boots feel like weights, and the sun is relentless. Yet, with every step, you feel closer to completing what you started delivering. Those letters across a vast, unforgiving landscape. The sand crunches beneath your feet, the horizon teasing you with glimpses of a distant settlement. You focus on the small details, the way the wind shifts, the scent of dry earth mixed with something like promise. You think about all the people who have walked this path before you, each with their own stories, hopes, and burdens. The Sahara has swallowed many footsteps, but it has also carried countless messages, whispers of connection across time and space. As you approach the village, you are greeted not with fanfare but with quiet smiles and nods. You hand over the letters, their significance understood without words. The recipient's eyes light up, a moment of human warmth in the endless desert. You settle down, feeling a calm wash over you. The journey was not just about the miles or the letters, it was about endurance, trust, and the invisible threads that bind us all. Historians continue to debate the role of such foot messengers in history, whether their impact was grand or humble, but you know the truth. Sometimes the smallest acts carry the greatest weight. You breathe deeply, the desert wind wrapping around you like a gentle lullaby. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The desert's quiet whispers fade into a gentle hush. Your muscles relax, heavy but peaceful. The stars have moved, and the sand beneath you feels soft, like a cradle holding you in its ancient arms. You're not just resting, you're drifting, floating between waking and dreaming. Carried by the vastness of time and space. The journey you took, the letters you carried, the footsteps you followed, they all become part of your breath, your heartbeat. You're wrapped in the desert's timeless embrace, where stories are carried on the wind, and the night stretches on forever. Close your eyes now. Feel the warmth of the sun replaced by the cool caress of twilight. Listen to the soft hum of the fan, like the desert breeze. Let your thoughts slow, Your breathing deepen. You are safe. You are home, wherever the sand may fall. Sleep well, traveler. The Sahara will be waiting, as always, when you awake.